Welcome, everyone. I am excited for today's conversation. We are joined by Tim Beck, founder and CEO of SaaS Steps, a Salesforce-native platform focused on turning messy, disconnected revenue processes into a single structured flow across quoting, billing, payment, renewals, and expansion. Tim's message is pretty simple. Stop living in spreadsheets and silos and make revenue operations clean, consistent, and easy to run inside Salesforce. Thank you again, Tim, for being with us. I think that the first thing that I like to do is, formally welcome you to the show as well, but then also start with a, quick question. When you look back, what was the moment you realized revenue ops is way more chaotic than it should be? I'm going to build the fix.
Wow, that's a great question, and honestly, it does go back many years. From my background, just so everybody knows, I have been in quote to cash, CPQ, lead to revenue, what we call revenue lifecycle management today for 25 years. So when did I see this disconnect? It actually goes way back to my time when I started my first job out of college with a company called Selectica, and they offered a CPQ solution. But I was not convinced it was the end all be all to solve all sales problems. I started doing research and realized there's all these back office processes and problems after you create a quote that take place. And so I ended up partnering with a back office credit collections and AR company, which later on I actually went and worked for, because I thought this was a great way to help people not only close business with the company Selectica I worked with, but also then go in and help with the back office of collecting all the money. So it was around that time when I actually started looking even further into what I wanted to do in my career. But that was that point where I was like, wow, there's more to this entire puzzle of connecting the end-to-end revenue lifecycle together. And I was just at the beginning point of just talking about quoting. So when we brought in this whole idea of doing things on the back end with credit and collections, it really started helping me understand how to sell as well as collect money. But that's kind of where it all started.
Okay. Have you enjoyed doing it?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting journey because again, you have to think about where we've all come from to understand where we're at today. And again, I may be aging myself a little bit here, but I started my career in the dot-com boom, right? So, and I was in my 20s and everybody just came out of dot-com, everybody was excited. And then what ended up happening is people started building all these single point solutions because there was lots of money to invest in these single point solutions. And then over time, we had to integrate everything together. So as I traveled in my career, I didn't actually jump around to multiple different, industries. I stayed put in software, focused on selling, jumped into a number of different companies who then were expanding out that footprint from quoting and then getting into billing. And then I joined a company called Aptus. And Aptus actually decided to build all of their technology on the Salesforce platform. And that was really exciting to me because I was dealing with mainframe systems and hosted centers and stuff like that, where we were trying to get all these things integrated together. But companies that were using Salesforce could just download an app and start using it. That was really powerful. And so this is really what got me excited because even at my time at Aptus, I had introduced to them a company that I saw that could complement Aptus, the whole back-end process, doing billing, invoicing, and renewals. Well, it turns out many years later, in March of 2021, I bought the same company that I introduced to Aptus, which is what I own today. And so, yes, I am passionately in love with what I do. I'm obsessed with what we do because we want to standardize everything. That's what my whole passion has been.
Okay. I know we talked about it briefly, but your company, SaaSTEPS, you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, SaaS Steps is actually a play on two words. So SaaS and steps. As you think about being a business owner, you may be one person, a founder, maybe a startup with a few employees. And when you start thinking about getting started and running your business, the first thing you need to think about is how am I going to get paid? Because you can create a quote in Excel, you could send a Word template out, but how are you going to get paid? And so really what ended up happening is we started looking at all the steps around the revenue process that need to take place. And we started fixing that all inside Salesforce. So now as startup owners, you can turn on payment processing and invoicing, all coming off an opportunity. For SMBs, maybe you've already put that in. You're using a Stripe or a QuickBooks or a NetSuite, but it's still a disconnected system. So maybe as an SMB, you want to bring that all back into Salesforce. We offer that capabilities as well. So you got billing, invoicing, and renewals all in the same package. Maybe you want to expand that further and do quoting. Again, all the same package. And so as you think about growing your business over time, you don't have to go in and piece together all of these disparate systems and try and integrate them together. with a number of resources, you're stepping into SaaS at the right point at the right time to build your business. And that's what SaaS Steps is we took one S out of the middle, put things together, and we blend everything together. We're 7 solutions in one product that you can turn on the functionality when you're ready to grow your business.
That's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
If I can dig into your shirt a little bit, because I know that you've
Right.
also been talking about CODEN from offline conversations. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on your shirt?
Yeah, and CODEN is a unique word. CODEN means to give grant access to everything or anything. And the reality is that CODEN is just a brand. CODEN is using Salesforce SaaS Steps entire suite as well as Agentforce. And one of the things that we had discovered around AI is, and everybody knows this, if your data is not structured, if it's not in a single data model, your data and working with those AIs most likely are going to hallucinate. And the reason being is because the data is not in a single source of truth. So if you're trying to integrate data from multiple sources into a system, the AI is going to try and figure out what is the real truth behind the actions that I'm trying to take against. And so what we've done with CODEN is we actually wanted to prove out that our system is so flexible that you could actually apply AI to it. And the way we started looking at this, and this was planned even before Agentforce came out, is we wanted to make sure our solution was VPAC compliant. And all that means is that blind, visually impaired people can go in and use screen readers to actually work and manage and play around or use the system. And so we had 4 blind people through the Blind Institute of Technology work with us to basically get our solution compliant to prove that yes, blind people can use screen readers. The reason why this is
It's
important,
amazing.
yeah, and the reason why this is super important is you have to remember AI is blind, it has no human body. So if you're trying to train an AI to do something that a human can do, you should definitely make sure that that human or that tool can basically do the help the blind community do the same things as a seeing eye human. This is what we realized once we hit that stage that we could train Agentforce to do the whole automation of the revenue lifecycle. And so what we ended up building, and sorry, this is long-winded, but what we ended up building is a go-to-market agent, a onboarding agent, like talking to people, figuring out their problems, and then ultimately giving them a quote. We have a B2B2C commerce agent, which then allows people to take that quote, go through a buying experience, recommend other products, recommend promotions. And then we have this other agent that onboards all of the customer data into Salesforce all automatically. And then we have an account manager agent that then once that customer becomes a customer, you send an email out and you introduce them to their agent where they can do upgrades, downgrades, expansion. They can pay for their bills, their invoices, and they can even manage their renewals. And so this was really just to prove that a digital workforce can be created within Salesforce. And we were one of those technologies that structured the data to allow Agentforce to work this way. And that's what CODEN is all about.
Okay. So you kind of hinted at it earlier. You were talking about, if you're a brand new business owner and you want to start up, like, you got SaaS Steps, which is an amazing tool. What about those companies that are already established where they kind of have all their various silos? What capabilities do you have to be able to step in and help them out?
And that's a great question. Traditionally, when we work with SMBs, they already have a number of different systems in place. So we're either replacing an old CPQ solution that's just become too big and complex for people to manage and maintain internally, and they want to standardize their different business processes. So maybe one day they could take advantage of AI. But what we usually do is we go in and we figure out what's the biggest bottleneck in the entire revenue process. And 9 times out of 10, it's billing, invoicing, and renewals. And so that's the area when we start talking to those SMBs is we work on fixing their back end, and then we can swim upstream and start fixing their front end. Because eventually over time, as we fix the stuff on the back end, the billing, invoicing, and renewals, the ease of use of our technology across those other team players, eventually sales says, I want to do it too, because it's so much easier. And they want to get rid of the old complex CPQs that they're used to using today. We just make it easier for people to do that because we're a downloadable managed package into your Salesforce org. And so when that happens, you get basically everything that we already offer today. And we have 3,000 plus use cases standardized through a declarative environment that even myself, I can do implementations of my product. And that's really powerful. That means business users can do it too. So as an example, you said the one user founder. What we do with those types of companies is we just say, go buy one Salesforce license. We'll help you do it. We will help you set up that entire license, and we will give you one license of SaaS Steps so that you can start actually using invoicing and doing billing and actually making your money while you're trying to figure out how you want to grow your business. This is something that we want to give to all startup and founders is just a free license. Go in and start using Salesforce, but start with a foundational product that's been built over 12 years to basically satisfy the needs of growing companies.
Okay, I like it. Question: would you be willing to share a customer story where the biggest win wasn't more features, it was removing manual work, errors, and giving leaders clean numbers that they can trust?
Absolutely. We have a new customer that is selling services to clean carpets. So they
Oh,
use
okay.
field services, which is a
Hmm.
different CRM kind of environment around Salesforce. And this customer came to us and said that they had worked with an SI consultant who had really customized their entire environment, which they were very frustrated with. And so what we ended up doing is they needed a invoicing, billing, and payment solution. So taking anything they're doing around field services, they're doing a service, they're managing that whole project with a customer, and then they need to send an invoice. That entire process is managing through our system in 3 clicks. So it's like pick the customer, do something, send it. It's already out. Customer pays based on a payment portal. They're using our product called SaaS Pay, which is competitive to Stripe, Authorize.net, all the other major payment processors. SaaS Pay
Okay.
is actually built inside of Salesforce with SaaS Steps managed package, and we're a merchant account and a gateway. So we gave all of this to this vendor now through this one partnership with SaaS Steps. So the success of it is they tell me all the time how much they love their product. And we'll have a video testimony coming out from them soon because they just say it's so easy to use. And this is business people like you and me, not super technical solution architects managing a system. And that's what we've created for this company. And so, I think what they really are getting out of this, not features and functionality, what they're getting is speed, deliverability, and getting paid extremely fast. And so that's really important to businesses when you think about it, because you're trying to reduce your day sales outstanding, which means you have more cash flow to give to your CFO to go and do more stuff to grow your business. So that's one of those great success stories. And of course, we have many more, but that one fits in the realm of startups and SMBs as an
Okay.
example.
Okay.
We could go with like a software company, right?
Yeah, go
So,
for it.
yeah, so we have a software company in this construction business. So again, not features, but they manage their entire revenue lifecycle through SaaS Steps. So quoting, billing, invoicing, renewals, and payments. So a success story for them, not maybe necessarily for me, is they told me, Tim, you automated everything on my business. I do not expect to buy any more licenses from you. It's literally an interesting story, but this also means that we as a business need to kind of think about how our model is, and we probably should move and shift to a usage-based model because this is the truth. Most companies that use our technology don't need to hire more employees because we
Hmm.
actually automate most of those mundane tasks that employees are trying to do. And when you put all your data into one platform, one data set, everybody's working on the same environment. So people aren't basically running around trying to figure out which system, which spreadsheet, or where is the data. They're just going into the same system that everybody else is logging into. And that's what makes people so efficient using our technology. So, yeah. And I mean, I'm just thinking we have another good success story. Sorry, is another
No,
software.
you're good.
Yeah, is another software company that they had been working with us since they're around a $20 million company, grew to over $200 million, got the largest A round in history of $1.5 billion. And again, the
Holy
reason
cow.
why is because we create profitable businesses because you're running all of your revenue cycle almost autonomously. And you can get to that point when you turn on our auto billing and our auto invoicing and our auto renewals. Once you hit that stage where you trust the data going into that closed loop process, you can literally run your business autonomously. And you don't need this with AI. AI is just another layer to give you that different interaction with clients. So
Okay.
that's a
No, that
good
makes
success
sense.
story.
And that makes sense because I mean, the truth is like, and so maybe we can actually elaborate a little bit more on that because you mentioned, I mean, when you think about technology, you know, pre AI was very much about automating processes. Like, hey, what can we do to facilitate? What can we do to automate this? You know, how can we make life easier for us? And software has done that. I mean, almost night and day difference. Now you throw in AI and I mean, it's just changing the world dramatically. So I guess what are some of the advantages or what are the things that you've noticed, maybe additional features that you've been able to do by implementing AI into your SaaS steps already?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is if you are looking to expand your team, but you don't have the budget to do it, I believe that turning on SaaS Steps and Agentforce is one of your best decisions. And to quantify that, to use Salesforce and Agentforce, and we always recommend customers to ask their sales reps for the Foundations package. And Foundations gives you Agentforce and like 100,000 credits to basically have conversations. So when you start thinking about this, if you're going to add on an additional 100,000 credits, I think it's around $500. And don't quote me on that because I need to go
That's
back
fine.
and look myself, but I think it's
Oh,
500.
I'm holding you to that.
Yeah. So but when you start thinking about that, what is that going to do? That's going to give you now 200,000 conversations, right? But let's just say you had 1,000,000 conversations. That's not that much money when you start thinking about the grand scheme of things. That means in 1 year, you're going to spend $6,000 on 1,000,000 conversations. So what can those conversations do? You could have an agent sitting on your website, which is what we do on SaaSsteps.com. You can go talk to our go-to-market agent. It'll answer questions about everything around SaaS Steps. It'll be there to help you schedule a meeting. Or if you want, you can go talk to our quote to cash or our quoting agent that it'll basically take you over to CODEN.com. And when you talk to CODEN, that's your sales agent, right? So all we're doing is we're taking what AI is allowing us to do is take the same processes that we did with similar people internally, and we're just allowing it to be exposed externally in an online site. And that's what I think is unique that we're trying to do because a lot of AI companies are trying to focus on the internal employees and automate more of their work to do things faster. And I think that's great, but humans should know how to use their systems internally. I think the power of AI is when you put it externally and you can augment your team with these digital workforce agents. And that's really what we've been trying to do is just say, hey, if you want to buy SaaS Steps, go talk to CODEN. You don't even have to talk to us. You can go through and onboard yourself through CODEN. That's a vision I think that people want in the future, even though not a lot of us have gotten there. And that's because the foundational layers across so many systems are so fragmented and integrated that people aren't thinking about how do we bring it into one data model, one platform, and structure everything. When you do that, you can turn on things like what we did with CODEN. And so that's kind of my view on AI and the advancements that we've done is really what we've done is created a value-added reseller of SaaS Steps as a digital workforce that performs all the same jobs as SaaS Steps, and it loads up all the data inside of Salesforce automatically by the AI interacting with a human. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd say so. I actually attended a summit here, uh, 2 weeks ago now,
Yes,
and it
sir.
was interesting because the theme of the AI summit was pro-human, right? And the whole fact is that yes, AI is coming out, and everyone's like, oh no, AI is going to take over the world and it's going to take over human jobs. It's not.
It
The
hasn't.
truth is that like it really is what's the word? A force multiplier. Like it takes the human and it makes the human be able to do things faster, quicker, better, more efficient. And so ultimately, like you said, it really does help them. And so, hearing that you're just like, I'm not trying to get rid of employees. I'm trying to augment my employees. I'm trying to make them better. Like, I think that's awesome. So, and I think that that really should be the long-term goal. It's people aren't going away. People are sticking around. And if you've already got great talent and great skill, you got to keep them around. You just got to make sure that they are now using AI as well to make the business better and more efficient.
Absolutely. I mean, for CODEN, for us, CODEN was really built to allow partners, prospects, anybody go and interact with CODEN to get the answers you need around SaaS Steps. And then if honestly you wanted to buy, I mean, we're actually adding in some functionality about for adding on partners. So a partner can log a lead, a partner can
Nice.
then help a customer or a prospect create a quote for them. CODEN can then send that quote out to the customer as well as the partner. So everybody's in the loop. The difference is all we're doing is getting data fed into our Salesforce, which, this is awesome because at the end of the day, how many people log into Salesforce and actually put this type of data into the tool? And I think there's studies that say that, average of Salesforce people or people that use Salesforce, it's like 30% or 40% log in and actually put in notes. When here's an AI, if you tell the AI you want to put this data in these different areas and around Salesforce and structure it up, you're giving it the actions, the business actions to go and communicate with the customer to get the data, to be able to put it there. And that's all that we've basically been doing. And so for us, it's allowing us to have, I think we've gone through 390 plus um, um, quotes through our text since Dreamforce. And we took 2 months to build out all of our agents before we went to Dreamforce. Because honestly, we had our Salesforce rep, who's awesome. He
Mhm.
basically, him and his SC came to us and were like, hey, you say you're all structured. Fine. Do Agent Force, prove that you're structured. And so we said, okay, we're going to do all of this. We're going to automate the entire end-to-end revenue lifecycle. And honestly, candidly, they laughed at us. They said, no way. We've been working on this for like 2 years ourselves. And if you went to Dreamforce, I went to Dreamforce. They had a great pitch, but I didn't see real live action. And this is why we created this shirt. And even on my back, I've got a QR code here, right? We had
Okay.
tons of people scan the QR code, even Salesforce people, and go through and play with CODEN. And they were very impressed because of the fact that it was an actual live working instance. And of course, don't get me wrong, Agentforce, there's a ton of use cases out there that people are doing.
Oh, yeah.
You just don't hear about them a lot, which I think it's because people are still experimenting and trying to get the results that they want. And I think if you have a bunch of disconnected systems, those results are probably mediocre, which is why you're not seeing people saying that we've changed our entire world. And don't get me wrong, AI in the BDR world sounds like it's happening because I think it's Jason Limpkin over at SaaStr that talks about how he's got 13 AI SDRs and he's got like a reply rate that's just through the roof because he's automated all of his outbound. And that I see definitely valuable because the whole world's spamming everybody, right? It's just the right messaging at the right time, talking to the right person that ultimately wants to answer you, right? So, but if you're doing it faster with AI, it kind of makes sense to me. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, I don't know. AI is very interesting. I think there's just a lot of people that are still focused on how do I structure all my data? How do I put in that single data model? How do I get all those pieces connected? How do I make sure my data is flawless? Because again, we all know AI hallucinates. And if you're
Yeah, it does.
not able to give it the right instructions, you're not going to. So that's where I just see it as a waste. So I think people get the foundation done right, then go and start talking about AI. And that's what you need to figure out. So,
Okay. I'm a little bit of a Star Trek nerd.
great. We are
So
too.
you think of,
Alrighty, this is the way, steps way.
I think of watching Picard and, he's like, I forget, Captain's log, and he spits off a date, right? And he just
Star
starts
Trek.
talking.
That's funny. You said Star Trek and I said Star Wars. Funny. Go
All
on.
good.
Yep.
All good.
Keep going, man. I caught
But
up
he
with you
says,
there. Though. I was like, wait a minute, Captain. Yeah, anyhow, go on.
right. But he says Captain's log, stardate, blah, 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 right? And then he just, voices the log to the computer, right? So as you're talking about how you're telling AI and how to like do the processes and implement everything, how much capability do you have for voice? Because I'll be honest, this moves a lot faster than these.
Totally.
So are you guys able to actually do like voice command to the AI on how to implement?
So voice is pretty new, even for Salesforce. They've got some testing out there. When we tested this at Dreamforce, it was cool, but the problem is they couldn't. It would take every noise around them and start typing it into the chat, and so that doesn't help.
Okay.
Or if you're like, I mean, I can't remember all the times when we said, oh shit, or fuck, or whatever, like it sucked that we said those things, but it also recorded all of those things. So then the
Mm-hmm.
AI was coming back not with responses that made sense. However, if we talked into the phone clearly, said exactly what we want, which most people don't do, it
Mm-hmm.
seemed to work. So I would say it's all about the data that you have structured inside the system again, right? It's all about the training that you do to the AI. Now, if they can filter down the noise to get it to where it's just my noise, like what we do with these headsets and Bluetooth headsets, and then neutralizes the voice, then I could see voice being really cool. Because it's going to, right now, I think it's too early, which is why we have not gone down that route yet. And we're still proving out that we can do what we can do today with just the structured data, right? And
Okay.
so if we
Yeah.
can get that thing perfect, we do believe as voice matures, yes, you should be able to say, hey, CODEN, I'm out here. I just had this great conversation with Brian Johnson. They're interested in this. Their company is this. His phone number is this. They're interested in this many licenses. They're interested in this much services. Can you actually create a quote for me and send this out to this email address? I believe all of that's possible because all that is I'm telling the agent to fill out the CRM in all the different spots that I need it to do. It just needs to be able to capture that with an isolated voice to be able to do that. And again, as time comes up, no doubt in
Yeah.
your mind, we can absolutely do it. It's just more of incorporating it into the process. And to be honest with you, it's not like we've had a bunch of people asking for this yet. I think it's just still the next thing that people are talking about.
Yeah, that sounds good. Looking ahead 12 months, what are you most focused on and or providing? And what do you think will matter most in RevOps for Salesforce teams?
That's a great question. I mean, for us, we enhance our product every single week. So anytime we hear from customers, we're always doing, they're like, hey, we wish you could do this. No problem. It's a CCR in our system. It'll be out in the next 1 to 2 weeks, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But what I would say we're most focused on us as a company is growth in our own, what we already do right now. Technically, over the last 4 years of owning SaaS Steps, and again, I bought the company that we own today, remember?
Mm-hmm.
We've hit two North Stars. So our first North Star was to integrate 7 different solutions together and operate as one, and then allow someone like me, a business user, to actually implement that for a customer. We just did this
Okay.
recently. Took me 1.5 days to do an actual implementation. The overall implementation did take 2 additional more weeks because the customer, once we went live, they said, hey, we want this enhancement. We want that enhancement. So that's what we did. We went back, took those enhancements, again, redeployed it. And the cool thing is I deployed it for the customers. So that's something that we've been really trying to get to prove that business users, Salesforce admins, if they know what their company wants from business process standpoint using Salesforce, we can train them to implement any of our 7 different models. And that's what we're really focused on, is helping Salesforce admins be empowered to become like revenue architects for their own business. And it's because they already know Salesforce. We're a Salesforce product. Everything's declarative. This should be that easy for these folks to do that. And so that's what we're working on over the next 12 months to prove out that Salesforce admins can do this themselves, which means CFOs can save a ton of money from external resources, customizations that they don't need to deal with anymore. And more importantly, more people can use AI. And for us, we already have 3 prospects or customers that are interested in using our AI based on the things that we've shown them that CODEN can do. And I think that's really cool because
Yeah.
it's slowly picking up. So, but that's what I would say we're focused on. Enhancements come out over time, but we've hit so much right now. It's about going out and helping customers that need what we offer today and want to grow into a technology, understand that we even exist. So that's really what we're focused on. Because we've been focusing on building the best technology in the world. And we filed a patent around all of this. That's other things I'm also working on, is finishing off the non-provisional patent, because we already heard back from the patent office. So we just have to answer some more questions, which we're doing. So these are the things that I'm personally focused on, because what I'm trying to do is establish this company that we're built to last and we're future proof, and that we're going to be here to help our customers like we've already done with our existing customers. We have customers that have been with us for 12 years. Which is a lot of time. Like, think about that. Let that
That's a
sink
lot.
in. 12 years, man. And I'm trying to go on a 3-year renewal with these people to basically keep working with us. And why? Because the system just works. I mean, why would you replace something if it just works? And that's what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
really trying to create here into the future, with educating people more about the fact that we exist. So most people don't know that we exist.
No, I'll be honest. I didn't know really that you existed too much until I started doing my own research. So
Which is kind of interesting when you think about it, right? I mean, for all the things that we've talked about here, I mean, you as a small
yeah.
business, you could use our technology if you wanted to use Salesforce. I would be glad to set you up and let you enjoy our entire suite with one license, right? And then in
Yeah.
time, as you grow, we'll grow with you. That's the partnership we want to have with customers, be an extension of your team to help you
Mm-hmm.
grow your revenue.
Cool. Tim, I really do appreciate your time today. I felt it was very useful, very practical, and very clear. Everything that you've shared has been absolutely awesome. Is there one last comment that you'd like to send off our audience with?
Yeah, I guess this is a good one. I'm a big believer that if technology does what it's supposed to do, you do not need an army of people to do your implementation. And this is why I believe a company like SaaS Steps is really built for Salesforce customers, because we've made this technology to allow Salesforce admins to go through point, click, drag and drop to configure everything. And if the system only needs 1 or 2 people to implement our stuff, but you need an army from another group of people, you have to ask yourself, does the product really exist, or are they custom building to fit my needs? And that's really what I would just want to leave you with, that Even if we tell you it's one person or two people to do an implementation, it's because that's all it takes. So we're not trying to charge people tons and tons of services because our technology is already built. You download it, we turn on functionality or we turn it off. That's how SaaS Steps works. So just remember, even though we are a smaller, leaner team, it doesn't mean that we can't perform like the big guys who are still custom building everything. So that's my only last comment, I guess.
Cool. Thanks, Tim.
Always.
Thanks for tuning in today. Please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who'd benefit. My goal is simple: have real conversations with people doing meaningful work. If there's a potential guest I should talk to, send the note to the NorthForge Intelligence LinkedIn page. I'll see you next time.